Okay, so I've never been a huge fan of the Muppets or anything, and Melissa McCarthy has done far more bad movies than good ones. But for some reason, an R-rated detective story with both of those things sounded like a pretty good time to me, not gonna lie. I liked the idea. Don't know why, but I liked it. And apparently I was the only one, because this thing flopped hard. It lost money at the box office, and if you look at basically any metric online, everyone hated it. Critics, audiences, everyone basically agrees that this is a bad movie. Well, apparently I'm Mr. Contrarian today, because I honestly don't see what's so terrible about it. It's not particularly good, that's true, but it's far from offensively bad too. I mean, I laughed throughout the whole thing, less and less the further along it went, but still. I mean, I thought the first 10 minutes or so were pretty much hilarious. Unfortunately, it didn't keep up that pace, and beyond the humor there's not that much to it. So if you don't like the humor, I can kinda see why you wouldn't like it. The characters and the story are just your run-of-the-mill kind of stuff. Nothing really noteworthy here. But it takes place in a world where puppets are sorta second-class citizens. It's essentially puppet racism run amok. And some high-profile puppets start getting killed. So this detective kinda wants to get involved and figure out what's going on. Nothing complicated or all that inventive. Sure, but it works. And on a technical level, it's a well-made film, with some funny stuff in it. But here's the thing, this whole movie isn't even an hour and 20 minutes. There's not really any time to get bored. It's barely longer than an episode of Game of Thrones. If this thing was 2 hours long, I could see how it would overstay its welcome. Sure, I would have probably been pretty bored by the end of it. But the movie itself's not even 80 minutes. There's some behind the scenes footage and outtakes at the end of it, and that makes it 80 minutes. The credits make it about 90. And I actually thought the behind the scenes stuff was kinda interesting, so I thought that was a nice touch. Probably padding to make it longer, but still, I can't really complain about that. And you can't really complain about the runtime. It's really a non-issue. And sure, the plot's not that amazing either. But I mean, in a world where we have the Meg, that shouldn't be an issue. Now, is the humor sophisticated? No, it's definitely not. It's pretty crude. But there's a certain novelty to putting puppets in a world of a grimy detective noir. I thought especially the violence was pretty inventive and funny. The cursing though, not so much. They abused the F word quite a bit. It just felt forced a lot of the time. They tried a bit too hard to be raunchy to justify the R rating. But still, I laughed more at this than a lot of movies that call themselves comedies. So why do people dislike it so much? I honestly don't know. It just isn't terrible. This was pretty much exactly what I expected from this movie, based on nothing but the premise. It's just a fun, dumb, very short, raunchy comedy with puppets and Melissa McCarthy. That's what it's advertised as, and that's exactly what it is. Could it have been funnier? Sure. Could the plot and the characters have been better? Sure. But I didn't find anything to really dislike about it, beyond the over-reliance on raunchy humor, for the pure sake of having raunchy humor. But there's been so many successful movies in the past that do the exact same thing, and it doesn't stop them from making hundreds of millions. So yeah, I really don't know why this flopped as hard as it did, but I had a pretty decent time with it. And it didn't even take my whole evening either. So would I recommend it? Sure, if the premise sounds even remotely fun to you, check it out. Or don't. Because believe it or not, you're free to do as you please. I'm not your puppet master.